Welcome to Insights. I'm Eric. Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to do a quick report to the economy and stock report. Make it a quick update here as we progress into a week that should be quite interesting to say the least. We've done some recent updates. We've done some updates on the gold and silver report. We've done a financial review talking about the banking crisis. We're not going to go into detail. This is kind of like the window dressing for a bigger problem behind the scenes. We show it here: bank crisis, bank runs, standing in lines happened in the past. This is today's modern look at it. Clearly, everyone's staring down, looking at their phones. I guess that's the take-home message. And the question is, are you going to be a bag holder in the end? Chances are, if you're going to watch this, you follow us, you won't be a bag holder. Many will disregard this. Many people aren't going to be watching this, and they think they're going to be protected. So it's, I guess, the majority will be the bag holder. It is coming. What we can do is we can listen to the message of the market, and we're just going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the spreads today one more time. This is the 2 to 10 year spread right here. That's right down in this area here. This is back through 2000. It goes back into about 1950 on the 2-year. 2-year doesn't go back a long time. You can look at different spreads. We're looking at 2 and 10 year. It's what the public is currently, well, talking. Social media, everything else is fixated on it. We're looking at it here down in the lower line. You can see it spiked. The real problem begins not necessarily when the red box forms, but when it starts to roll over. For now, through the month of March, we are expanding and we are continuing higher. And even when you do that, there's a couple important things. This is the Fed funds rate right here. This is the light blue line. The dark blue line is unemployment rate. That's where it's coming. Now, there's usually a delay, a delay or a lag, whatever you want. And again, this time series number is wrong. And I guess I'll have to go and fix this when I got a second. This is through 2000. This is the delay. You can see that when the invisible hand pushes the markets in the direction that you want to go, eventually the Fed is forced to capitulate. You think the Fed's in the driver's seat. You're full of, well, you're probably not full of anything because you probably don't even know it. You've listened too much. You went to school, you went to college, you went to the university, listened to your boss too much. The Fed's not control. The Fed's the central banker of the world, puts them in a unique position. It's we'll call it the fire suppression role for the world right now, but that doesn't mean they pull all the strings. The invisible hand pulls the strings, and you'll see why. This stuff starts to turn, and then you'll notice, look at the Fed funds rate starts to fall. And this is driven by the invisible hand. And for now, this series is still expanding, which means the crisis is still early phase. Perhaps it starts to drop, and it's really when it starts to drop below, it's a decel rate, drop below the dotted line. It can go higher. These are some of the ones in the past. You can see how big these spikes go. Today's spike is getting quite comparable to what we saw in the 80s, but this is not 1980. But when it rolls over, it's only a matter of time before the Fed capitulates. And you say, oh, Fed's driving the decision. Fed made a mistake. The Fed's just doing what everyone else is doing. It's following, and it just talks a big game in the process, and then everyone looks to point fingers. And then after that, the unemployment rate tends to spike. So be careful, be wary, be cautious. This banking crisis is not over. It's a part of a bigger crisis, and we talked about this in other updates in the ES report. It's part of a bigger crisis that's taking place in borrowing in general. This is just phase, well, I wouldn't say this is phase one. This is part of phase one. It's going to expand. It's going to get worse in the next window, starting roughly around 2024. And then it's really going to get interesting. If you do not want to be a bag holder, you got to start thinking about what's taking place. Everyone's talking about how the dollar is going to get pounded to oblivion. And we talk about this in the dollar report, and I haven't done too many updates to that because the ES report is general. I'm thinking about opening this one up for everyone just to watch, see what we talk about in this report. This is just a general report sometimes, but we do talk about specific market. Other markets talk specifically about market strategy and other things, but this one is getting more play, more discussion recently because you can't turn on the TV or log on to anywhere without it's just watching a clown show in general. I know that's overused, and this is pretty bad. I mean, but that's how it goes. When the empire dies, the clown show takes over because there's not a lot of options. What are you exactly going to do? There's not many options here to fix this. The best thing you can do is handle the consequences of it and prepare, and don't be the bag holder by either having all of your deposits in a vulnerable situation or having in a vulnerable security as well. We're going to talk about more later. This is just a short report. This is dress rehearsal of something that's bigger that's going on that's going to infect and take over sovereign nations. We're going to watch the 2-year, and there's one of many. You can see there's a pull down menu of all sorts of things a computer follows. We're just talking about this one right now. This is something to consider. I would recommend joining this report in order to stand a fighting chance. And if you don't have any money to spend and don't want to be a part of this, well, then that's just, I mean, this is not a cash grab in any means. These are just warnings. We're talking about what the invisible hand is doing. It's easy to forget to do when to follow that, and to even first know what it is and then to follow it when so many people are yapping out there and talking, and they're wearing ties, or in today's world they probably wear hoodies, and they look smart, but they're not. I mean, Elon Musk said that Twitter was probably one of the smartest places. I'd say about 5% of Twitter's pretty smart. The other 95 is they're just talking, and that's and I don't even know why we're on the platform. I mean, we're stuck at 2,000 followers for infinity. You could talk about all the right things, and it's not going to budge. You have to sell. You have to wave your arms, talk about things that are irrelevant. That gets followers, and this is the banking crisis. This is a part of a deep-rooted crisis that's a part of the shift in empire that's taking place, and this is not going to go quietly into the good night. You have a couple more years. You have maybe until the end of the decade to really understand all the moving pieces. It's not as simple as this is a repeat of 2008. Hardly. Economic cycles are different. Situation in the world is different. This is also not 1930. We go into this and more into this report, but get used to it. These lines are going to expand unless they clarify. And even if they do clarify some of the things that we talked about in the financial review, which I will leave inside this report or this posting, it's just not enough. I mean, it's not enough. You can't cut rates and assume that's going to fix anything. You can't backstop the entire system and assume that fixes anything. There's a reason why they're talking about digital currencies, and we're going to talk about that more. We talk about that in the Bitcoin report, but we'll address it here. And you're going to have to, because if you don't know about it, you're going to get pulled in and you're going to be stuck being the bag holder here. And that's what we're trying to avoid. If you have any comments or questions, let us know. This is something that's just meant to make everyone aware and start thinking about this. This is not, there's a lot of reports that are connected to one another. This is an important one. The dollar is an important report. Gold and silver is an important report, but not for the reasons that the gold bugs and other people are saying it is. They just like to talk the same old tune, but this is going to get interesting. It's really going to get interesting in 2024, so it's time to prepare. Thanks for watching, and thanks for stopping by, and we'll talk to you real soon.